Welcome back, everyone. Today we are starting on our Camaro project. We're just doing some small stuff on this, but I think it'll make for a pretty good video. The bumper has some defects. It's got the holes for the plate mount. It's also got like just paint missing. It's so hard to see because it's wet, but that's actually not dirt. That's paint missing. So I want to repaint the front bumper. That'll really clean up the look of this car. And then we'll do an oil cooler as well, which kind of tucks right behind the main grille for when I do the track days. We got a lot of cool stuff going on today. As you can see behind me, we got my Camaro's bumper and the dog. We need to do a bunch of stuff on this. It's filthy. I need to strip it down because I'm going to try to paint it. It's like, get off the bumper. What I'll do, cheapo plastic welder. This is the plastic we need. I think I'll put the mesh on the backside and just fill the holes with plastic. Should be good to go. It comes with a screwdriver. That's pretty funny. I don't know what half this crap is. We'll read the instructions. No, we won't. Just kidding. And we'll go from there. Let's move you guys. All right, so we're going to go ahead, start pulling this guy off. All of these are a pain in the friggin' butt, let me tell you right now. You just got to kind of push and pull and pry, and it is what it is, as they say. A wise man once told me, it is what it is. Now you got to be careful you don't break the Nikes though. Whoa, that's the thing. You kind of got to do them all at once so that it all comes off evenly-ish. In true TV magic, I got both those off. Now we're going to punch out the little license plate pins that I had in there. So then we can do the plastic welder and fill that in. Let's get that baby plugged in. Hopefully our cord's long enough. Definitely not. We will get the extension. Ready to rock and roll. And we'll cut out some mesh pieces to fill the back of those holes. And we'll go from there. So hopefully you can see that as that wax and grease remover dries. I'm just going to stick these mesh pieces to the back, just using the plastic that's already there just to get them to stay. And I'll obviously go back and fill them all in, but for now I'll just do this. It's good enough. I've never done this. I looked up a couple of videos. I am not going to sit here and claim that I really know what I'm doing. Just hope I don't destroy my bumper. How about that, folks? Stacked up well. It's just that it's still pretty far away. Somebody's screaming out there, oh my God, this isn't the right way to do it. Well, I'm learning. I'm trying. Bear with me here. It seemed like this is about accurate for the videos I watched. I'm trying to just force it through that hole. Looks like death from the back. However, I know I got good adhesion and good fill. I wound up going to the front. I didn't put it on camera because I really was kind of just winging it. But I went around to the front and I filled them in a little bit. So these I'll be able to just sand down, take a razor blade, trim them, sand them down, use a little bit of plastic filler, and I'll be totally fine. So that's awesome. We can go ahead and do that. So that's really good. It's really, really good. All right. Right now, you're looking at the top side, of course, and I'm just going to take a razor blade and just trim all that excess rather than trying to trim the excess, rather than trying to like sand all that down. It'll just be easier, I think, to just give it a nice little trim. You don't want to go too deep. You can always sand it off later. Just enough to kind of get the majority of it off. Let's try that. See if we don't rip it out of the hole. That's my only fear, but we'll see what happens. I'm still over the paint level, so that's always good. Just switching to this side just to try to keep from pulling up paint. Again, not a big deal in my case, but can't hurt to do. Look at that. Perfect. We'll obviously sand those nice and flat later, but they're good for now. The rivets we gotta drill out. Lighting's terrible, but all these guys are rivets So we're gonna start drilling. I bought new ones already, they're coming. Gotta be careful with the ones that are into plastic, or you'll just wind up tearing them right through the plastic. Well, I'm gonna pull all these out. I won't bore you with the details. There are a million more rivets in here, and I realized you can't get to the back side of them to drill them out. So I don't really understand how the heck you're supposed to do it. I'm gonna look at the all data. But for now, we're gonna work on pulling these headlight housings or fog light housings out. Actually, they're running lights technically. I believe all we need to do is compress these pins, which is gonna be a pain in the ass without breaking them. Everything on here is just, it's just the freaking shittiest little plastic stuff. I hate it. Look at that. You hear that? I think she popped for us. Nice. We got a good little gap on the back side here. Nice. Okay. Just like that, the housing's out. And then we should be able to pop the light out relatively easily. Worst case scenario, we snap this. We'll have to buy new ones, but let's try not to. Oh, you know what's a good trick for this? A socket. Put a socket over that to compress it so that they all go evenly. Yeah. So I got a weird one for you. There's a bunch of rivets on this bumper that you can't get to the back side of them. So like I could get them out from the front side, or like, you know, like the ugly side of the rivet, if you will. But then how the heck do I reinstall them? So I, like, worst case scenario, I leave the part on, but it's that bottom, it's the, yeah, which I might be able to. The thing that sucks though is this bump, you know, that part of the bumper is only one LE because it's that bottom spoiler and the ZL1s are different. So not to say I can't find it, but I might struggle to find somebody online. So we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I figured this out. There's actually a lip. There's a lip that kind of sits like this. Holds the bumper on. You got to like pry this whole air dam up and off. I think it's going to be easier said than done, but it almost got to slide. It almost has to slide like forward, but there's not like really room for it to do that necessarily. See, I could probably cut those rivets from the backside because I know I'll be able to get to them. But I kind of want to get it off without cutting the rivets so that I know how to get it back on. Because I don't think getting it on is going to be any easier. And I mean, worst case scenario, if I break this, I can probably still buy a new one. I highly doubt that I can't. So that's not the end of the world. I'm worried about the bumper. The bumper's got to be probably dumb expensive. So let's not try to not break the bumper. Yeah, I'm going to Google this one before I start prying too hard on things. But I don't know how to get this off. I don't feel like running the house to look it up. I got a ton of just scuffing of this clear coat to do. So we're going to go ahead and just start sanding the clear first. And we'll just do that later. I'll get it off one way or another. And even if I didn't get it off at this point, I'm still going to paint it, which I want to get it off, don't get me wrong. But so the reason I'm using my hand, I could use a soft sanding block, but this is all transitional surfaces. So it would be very hard to use the DA. I kind of tried, but I'm like, eh. So we're back. I am still struggling. Well, I just started trying them again. All these rivets here, I got to take these out. I'm going to have to cut them from the backside because the bumper's not, the splitter's not going to come off without breaking it or breaking the bumper. I'm pretty dang sure about that. Maybe I can rivet these from the front side because the problem is, well, I'll show you after. But anyway, I'm going to take some pliers. I'm going to just fold these up, see if I can push them through, but I don't really know if this is going to work without damaging the plastic. I bought all new rivets. I got a rivet gun coming, or actually it came today. So that's all good. So we can redo these. So obviously we're gonna need to do that. And I actually started sanding on this a little bit. There's a lot of just road chips and stuff, so we're gonna sand down. I'll show you after all the way. And then we'll clean that up. So I'm gonna just keep breaking rivets here. And I'll bring you guys back when I got something cool to show. God knows I'm gonna need to sweep the crap out of this garage before I park a car in here again, because I'm gonna have crap everywhere. All right, I'm gonna pause you. All right, folks, this is where we're gonna stop for tonight. I'll just turn this up for you. You gotta be gentle with it because it's got no support. So we got a bunch of sanding done. We got that splitter off like I talked about. These are still high spots. Not terribly so, but I think I overheated the plastic a little bit when I did my repairs. So they poked out a little, which is okay because I mean I can sand these down. I'm actually just gonna prime over it once. I wanna sand it and see if I can flatten it out. The high build primer might take this out. So I'm gonna high build prime at least this. But you can't tell on camera, but there's enough imperfections like here and then this whole bottom lip. I gotta do more sanding. I've got a lot of clear on here. I can still sand down to bare paint and just paint over it and not prime over it. But I just gotta kind of see what makes the most sense for this bumper. All right, everyone. So I'm not on camera right now, but we are getting ready to spray some primer on this fella. So I just mixed it. Just mixed it all up. Got it in the gun. Now I'm going to do a spray test here on an old piece of cardboard. I should get some new cardboard, but for now this will work. It's just primer, so the pattern's not the biggest deal in the world. That's a good pattern, actually. Which makes sense, because I just, last thing I did with this was spray primer, probably. So now we're just going to simply hit the affected areas. A little bit more air pressure, I think. Make sure I don't get too many drips. So that's good. So, I'll let this dry a little bit. I think I'm going to get some runs off of that. God, I haven't sprayed freaking primer in a long time. Yeah, that's running a little bit. This is running real thick. I'm going to recheck my pattern here. I probably should have done a little bit more figuring out. Although it looks pretty good. Huh. Okay, so we're back. I'm just going to let this tack up a little bit. I'm going to sand this part off anyway, so I'm okay with touching it. That's actually tacked already. So that's good. That's not. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I don't know what is going on here. I'm going to be doing a lot of sanding, folks. Which is okay. I mean, it's not a big deal if we have to sand a lot of it off. It's really not the end of the world. It's really not the end of the world at all. Maybe I just went too slow or too close. I'll have to watch the footage and see. I mean, I was going a little slow. But, I don't know. It's okay. We'll give it a bunch of coats and can always sand it off. That's the beautiful thing about primer, especially. These are drips. Unfortunately, I got some serious drippage here, but like I said, I can sand all that out. It's actually not a big deal. It didn't really need to hit this bottom lip anyway, so that's fine. This whole face is covered pretty darn well, and the same thing for the bottom lip of the bumper. Just to help get a lot of the rock chips out, and I can sand all that. So, yeah, I think we're in good shape. I'm not going to keep drenching this thing in primer, although I do want to hit this area a little bit more because that's where those license plate holes were. It'll give me more material to work with, so that's worth hitting like 1 or 2 more times. All right, so we have got all this primed. As I mentioned before, we're going to have some drips and runs, which you might be like, oh my God, it's ruined. Well, guess what? Oh, well, look at how that's okay though. We'll be able to get those off. No big deal. This isn't really dry yet, so we're going to not touch some of this. But we'll be able to sand that off. It'll be a pain in the butt, but it's doable. And then we'll get all this down here too. But the good thing is, it's got a pretty good layer of primer on it. So we're in good shape. I'm actually gonna have to let this dry a little bit more though, I think, before I do too much sanding. Okay, so we're back. Hopefully you can hear me okay. What we're gonna do is start sanding this down. I got 400 grit on the DA, and then we'll hit it all with 600 grit before we do our final paint. So we are looking at the bumper here. I started sanding last night. Got a bunch more to do. So we're gonna keep cranking on it. It's actually nice and dry now. So we'll just go ahead and start sanding everything. So what you can see if you look close, a couple things you're gonna see if you look close here. So you can see the license plate mark right now. So I just started to hit this. That's okay. We might burn through all this primer, and it is what it is. We gotta get it level and we'll go from there. I'm gonna smooth all this out. See how wavy this all is? This is all gotta be smoothed out. And then we'll have to hit it with actually a lower grit sandpaper. This is 400 grit just to knock the primer down. And then you could really start actually with like 3 something or 200, 220, but 400, this thing eats pretty good, so 400 is fine. So we'll knock all this down. If it's going too fast, you can slow your speed down. But 4 on this thing works pretty good. So we'll just keep going. Okay, so if you look, we're going to have to put primer back over these. I sanded them wrong. It basically just my mistake, but we're gonna go ahead and do that quick. Everything else is pretty much good to go though, which is awesome. It's looking pretty good. When we go to paint this, I'll explain how we'll do this again, but we'll hit red over all the primer, and then we'll hit red on the whole thing, and then do the clear, so it all blends in nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and start priming this. All right, Tom. So I got the paint job done. We're gonna have to now wet sand, and I'm gonna show you the good, bad, and the ugly of this thing. So let's talk about it. Turn you around. Okay, so let's just start over here. First of all, I got a pretty good amount of orange peel. Not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm a little surprised. I have done quite a bit of painting in these garage type settings, and I've had pretty good luck. So I'm not 100% sure why this peeled so much worse than what I normally do. But it did. It's got a lot of tight peel. The good news is, you know, we can wet sand it out, right? It's not a big deal. There's spots that are good. Like this is really not that peeled at all, or at least not too bad. I also got some runs, which kind of sucks. These are gonna be a pain in the ass to get out, but we'll get them out. And then there's one here too. So luckily these are very hidden actually because of this light housing. So we'll get them out anyway, but you won't really see them. These we definitely got to get out. A little bit of a run there. I don't know. I'm not really quite sure what I did wrong. But in this case, because like I did my whole truck and I had probably that many runs on the entire truck. So a lot of angles on here. I think that was part of it. I wasn't quite prepared for what that would entail. But we got good coverage, so that's really good. I don't really see any spots that are concerningly void of paint. So that's awesome. That's really the important part. We can fix the clear. But yeah, you can see it's pretty peeled up. So we're gonna hit this with the buffer, or the sandpaper, and then the buffer, and we'll get her good. I don't know what that's all about, but when you sand over these high spots, though, you're going to want to use a sanding block for sure. If you don't use a sanding block, you will more than likely run into issues. So we've kind of gone ahead and scraped down all these high spots and runs. Actually came out pretty good. Obviously we'll sand all that, but it's really that simple, honestly. You just take a razor blade like I showed you. I just turned it on its side so it was easier. A little bit of a nib there, but these will sand right out now that they're closer to being the right level. But if you start off really high, you'll wind up burning the clear on the outsides of it and not actually getting your run out. So now we've got a preliminary sanding. So you can see this is all nice and dulled out. There's a couple little shiny spots, but I'm actually going to leave those on purpose. Because if I completely take away any of the defects, it'll actually look better than the stock finish and it won't really match. You actually want to leave some finish imperfections, but kind of like here, we'll definitely clean that up a little bit. We just want a little tiny bit just so it blends in with the stock clear coat better, because stock clear coat's never perfectly level. You can see like all this is pretty good. Down here it's definitely needs more sanding, so we'll touch that up. Same thing over here. And we'll just kind of go through the whole thing. You know, definitely spots like that where it needs a bunch of sanding. But yeah, overall, it's getting pretty good. This is all nice and pretty much complete. This can be smoother because it's not mated up against the stock panel, right? All of this top here, and especially the sides, made up against the stock panels. So it's kind of what we're doing. But yeah, she's coming right along. We'll keep sanding and then we'll be able to do some buffing. All right, folks, welcome back. We had a slight mishap yesterday that happened off camera. I got an absolute mess on this table, but our buffer wires are no longer connected. I caught the cable up in the buffer. It twirled around, ripped the cable out, and obviously broke it in half. Oopsie. So I've decided that it takes too much force to try to buff this thing, and it's just too floppy. So I'm going to start assembling it and see if that helps. I'll tape everything off. And then worst case scenario, I'm just going to put it on the car as is, and then I'll do the final buffing on the car, which will work if it comes down to it. I'm also still trying to figure out how to even put this bumper on because it's not really super clear how this all works. Oh, did that one pull through? No, that's okay. Yeah, they're tight, they're tight. So that will slip right over, which is good. Okay, and then we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Install those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Nice thing is, the splitter covers up a lot of the paint. The bottom here, which there's a couple little defects, so hey, take your wins where you can find them, you know? It's a pain right in the friggin' butt, guys. I'm telling you right now. This bumper is not an easy thing to get put back together. At all. At all. All right, folks, so as you can see, I started putting some of the plastic parts back in. The reason I did that is because I just cannot seem to friggin' polish this thing well without the structure. I need the rigidity that all these parts provide. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape them all out of the way now. I know it probably seems like this is incredibly backwards way to do it, right? I had everything out, now I gotta tape stuff off, but I don't really have a better solution because it's just not working for me. I just, everything's so floppy. I'm like afraid I'm gonna pull corners of the bumper off if I, trying to push hard enough to actually get a good polish. Welcome back, folks. So you can see my hair's all messed up. It's the next morning. It's also a little chillier in here. But anyway, we are making pretty good progress. I'm not totally happy with how those bumpers came out, but it's more than good enough for what we need. It's also a lot better than the old, the old paint on it was. So let me turn you around and I'll show you. All right, so here's what we got. So, for example, this is coming out really, really great. Now, you'll notice there's still some waviness, but that's actually on purpose. While my LED lights that are shining on this are making a bit of a ripple on the camera, but it's a little bit wavy still, and I did do that on purpose because the stock finish on the rest of the car, is never perfect, right? So, you don't really want to make the new part perfect, and then it doesn't really match everything else. At least that's my personal opinion. These aren't scratches, they're just some residual compound. The only thing that drives me nuts is, and this is really just my own fault, but there's so many damn corners. I burned through a little bit here and a tiny, tiny bit down there. So I have some methods. I'm gonna be able to touch this up. It's not gonna look perfect, but it is what it is, guys. I just have to accept the fact that that happened. Everyone, it's a big moment. We got the bumper back to the shop. I'm gonna get it on the car. We're gonna do a little bit more buffing while it's on the car. I think it'll just make it easier. So first things first, as you can see, we got the car up on the lift here. I almost just knocked on the radiator. We're gonna mount the oil cooler. So it actually mounts to these two bolt holes right here. And we're gonna read the directions. I know, kind of crazy. Let me go find the directions. It comes in this really cool box with all the stuff you need. Nice bags, all the lines. Start emptying this box here. This is the cooler itself. We'll put that over here. Gotta be careful I don't drop anything. This is the sandwich plate, which comes in a tin, which I just think is the coolest thing ever. And then we got a bunch of paper for storage. I don't know what this is all about. Sandwich plate spacer. We'll look that up after. What else do we got? Oh, the AN line fittings. I should make a bigger spot on the table here. Actually, I'll move the box and then that won't be an issue. All right, so step one is super simple. Literally just take this mounting bracket, put it on here, and we're mounting it with the provided hardware. So that's pretty easy. All right, folks, next step, bolting this guy up there. Now, keep in mind, this is by no means like a tutorial video because they have a great tutorial video on their site. So I think it'd be kind of silly for me to remake something that they've already made. I'm just gonna kind of give you any little points that I have of contention or, or otherwise. Or good points too, not just bad, right? So this guy mounts here. These holes are already in your vehicle, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why they're there. Maybe the ZL1s have something, but this does fit ZL1s. So, I don't know. Okay, there we go. It's pretty straight. You'll probably never even see the thing behind the grill realistically, but that's not the point. It's got to look good. Oh. Pop the intake arm off, which is fine. Just gotta, yeah, that'll help actually. Okay, we're gonna lead the second one through per the video. 45-degree end. If you straighten them out a little bit, it's easier. These things are beefy. I guess I'm gonna go on top. I don't think it really matters. I'm gonna actually go wherever this thing will fit because she gets a little tight back there. Wow, yeah. Now we actually wanna flip this up. That spins the 45-degree angle fitting so I can actually fit it easier. Try not to drag the absolute crap out of the stainless steel against the side of the radiator. It's a little bit inevitable, not gonna lie. just make sure you're not forcing it too hard, because you might actually tear up that stainless a little bit, which won't affect really won't affect the integrity of the hose that much, but it's just not, it's uncouth. Actually super simple. Take this cover off. Yeah, it's a little tight, but it comes off. And you take this locking ring in here and you just turn it right there. This comes out. Be gentle with the HID if you're trying to save it. If it's broke, then don't worry about it. Okay. Don't touch the HID. I don't think you're supposed to touch them. I don't really remember. Oh, wait. You gotta take the collar, straighten that out, and just pull it right off. Comes right off. Took me a while to figure that out, not gonna lie. And then put the new collar on, make sure it's in the same orientation. And then you just, or the old collar, plug this in first. Clunk, boom, boom. Make sure it's seated. Straighten that out, and then close the collar. Boom, that's it. Easy peasy. Just looks scary in there. Okay, now we're just gonna go ahead and plug these guys back in. And we just put the light back on. That's it. This is the final part of this video here. We do have the bumper fully installed. I got a little bit lazy on making the last bit of video because things weren't quite going the way I wanted them to. However, everything came out pretty good. I got some buffing left to do. I'm gonna try to show you a spot that really needs it. Yeah, like this corner right here. I just need to buff that out. Not a big deal, I just haven't gotten around to it. So I'll clean this all up. I still got plenty of winter left. It's really cold outside. And we'll take care of all that, but it's looking pretty good. It's definitely better than it was. Not perfect. I do wish it came out a little better, but we'll make it work. So I can also get creative and do a little bit more wet sanding here and there if I want. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching. God bless America, and I'll see you on the next one.